Warning, due to some language and subject matter, listener discretion is advised.
For as long as I've been watching mixed martial arts, I don't know that I have ever seen Dana White react to a fight in the way that he did on episode 6, this current season, season 30 of The Ultimate Fighter. In that bout, you had two pre-established rivals in Juliana Miller and my next guest, Grizzly, Claire Guthrie. Claire is, for the time being, a flyweight representing Team Amanda Nunes on this current season of The Ultimate Fighter, which you can watch on ESPN+. She's also a member of Elevation Fight Team, and I have been wanting to interview her on the show for some time now. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Caught on the Mic. Ladies and gentlemen, I am really excited about this episode of the show, if not for any other reason, because she was a part of the best fight in the Ultimate Fighter history, as far as I'm concerned. Definitely the best fight of this season. Grizzly, Claire Guthrie, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you for the introduction. I'm still feeling pretty proud of that fight, so I appreciate it.
Well, you need to feel proud of that for a long time to come. I don't know if I've ever seen Dana react to even a main card fight like that.
And it was really cool, because people who watched the episode, they only got to see a piece of it, but he was loving it. I mean, from start to finish, between every round, he's making eye contact with us and he's smiling and he's like, this is awesome. So it was really cool.
Yeah, that's dope. And watching him really intently eating those Red Hots while he was watching that
right.
fight.
The worst kind, the worst kind of jelly beans.
I know. Oh man, that's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about you. Let's make a little bit more of an introduction to who you are, especially for those of you out there that are listening to this podcast that are following The Ultimate Fighter. Let's get to know Claire Guthrie. Let's talk about your origin story a little bit.
Sure. I played a bunch of sports growing up. I was always really aggressive, but I was not so great at learning. I wasn't super technical, we'll say that. So I was great at track because it was just go. That was awesome. That was easy. And then, once I started fighting, it was just I'd also been bullied when I was a kid too. So I never wanted to bully other people or make other people feel like that. But fighting was a really good way where I got to be aggressive and I got to be a bully without hurting any innocent people. So that felt really good. It just clicked really, really well for me. But even with fighting, it still took years until I was able to figure out how to be technical, because all my amateur fights are just crazy. They're just wild. It's I ate a bunch of punches till I could grab somebody and I'd throw them on the floor. And it was just wild. So yeah, I'd say it wasn't until I came out to Colorado with Elevation Fight Team that I learned how to learn. So that's been a big thing for me. But yeah, fighting just really took over my life. I didn't know I was going to be any kind of professional athlete. And, I still did the whole college thing because that's what everyone in my town did. So I went to school, 4 years and got my degree. And I knew right when I graduated, I was okay, and I was still fighting throughout the time, but I was that's when I'm going to dive in. And so right when I graduated, I moved out to Colorado, joined Elevation Fight Team. I've continued working in accounting up until this month. So actually having gone on The Ultimate Fighter, it kind of made me realize that I thought I was all in, but I was really just busy. And I was okay, since I'm busy, I'm going to be successful in everything. And then I found out that's not how it works. So yeah, being on The Ultimate Fighter, it's eat, train, sleep, repeat. And I was oh, this is what my life needs to look like. I need to try to simulate this as best as I can, to make the best progress that I can. Because, this is a short window. Right. If I half-ass it for 10 years, I'm really wasting my own time and I'm wasting a lot of potential. So yeah, this month I'll be done with my job and fighting full time.
Wow, that's awesome. So where are you from originally?
I'm from Michigan, St.
Really?
Joe, Michigan.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Where out in Michigan again?
St. Joseph. It's pretty close to like Notre Dame, like really close to the Indiana border.
What's the population like in that town?
It's a small town, but not it's good. It's a medium-sized town with small town vibes.
You just described where I'm living currently in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Oh yeah.
the reason I ask that is, those of us that kind of had a little bit of social struggle growing up and kind of learn that fighter's mindset growing up. Mm-hmm. You can kind of draw similar parallels to the upbringing. It's like, for me personally, I lived in big cities all my life. I moved all over the place. And it was big cities until I get to high school. I get to high school, and it's a town of 1,500 people. And if you're not born in that town, you are never accepted in that town. So it's like it's kind of the same thing. You just you adapt and you figure out ways to build your confidence up and socialize in a way that makes sense to you.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think I get more support now in my hometown than I ever got. Yeah. Well, for sure, than I ever got growing up. Yeah. I was very ready to leave. Like, I appreciate, my parents are amazing. They supported me the whole entire time. And so I think that was the most important thing. But MMA was like frowned upon. It was more of like a golf, basketball, tennis area. So it was like my gym was in the basement of a tattoo studio, and it was like, what are they doing down there?
That's awesome.
Yeah, right. So it felt really good getting out. Like I said, it's just funny kind of seeing the support now. I still appreciate it, but I'm still a little bitter at the same time. Like, I'm not planning on moving back at any point.
That doesn't ever change. I'll tell you, it's weird for me in particular because I took a different path. I did punk rock bands and metal bands and such.
Love it.
For years after that. And that's what I was pursuing as a career.
Yeah.
And when I started to get a little bit of momentum, it's like the people that wouldn't give me the time of day when I was in high school, all of a sudden started popping out of the woodwork. And my 10-year high school reunion was one of the weirdest social experiments I think I've ever been a part of.
Oh, I bet. Oh, that was brave to go back.
Right?
Yeah.
But I mean, you get a couple albums under your belt, then you're like, yeah, I kind of want to go back and peacock
I get
just
that.
a little bit.
I could see that for sure. Oh yeah, mine will be coming up in a couple of years. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, maybe I'll be going back to that.
You got to do it. You just got to do it. Even if it's just like making an appearance, eating a meal, and just rising above it and being like,
Yeah, I love it.
You said you were an accountant.
Yes.
How many times have you made that joke when somebody's talked about you being a fighter? Like, no, I'm not a fighter. I'm an accountant. You've seen that trope online, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I love it. I mean, I've always thought it was like a great balance, and I'm real cheesy, so I'm like smashing numbers by day and faces by night. Love it.
So when was the majority of this season of TUF filmed?
So this was filmed end of January through the beginning of March.
Wow.
Yep.
And you can't tell because you're in Vegas, so it's like the scenery looks fantastic, so you don't know, or other places in the United States are 2 and 3 foot under snow.
It was nice to get out of Colorado at that time. It was perfect. It was so perfect. Yeah. Great timing for that, for sure. and Vegas was still hot. We still got to lay out by the pool and everything. So that was nice.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I read online, and I would love for you to tell the anecdote about this.
Okay.
That there was a psychic experience that led you there.
Yes. There kind of was. It was interesting. So now it would be, it'll be 3 years ago this year. I was going through a divorce, and I was married for 6 months. So that was real fun. And then, when I got divorced, I knew there was a lot of holes in my life at that point. And, I was kind of looking all over the place, trying to figure out what was missing. Cause I felt like, I went to school, and I got the job, and I got engaged, and I got married, and I moved, and I went pro, and like all these things, I was like checking off the boxes, and I was like, and I still wasn't like fulfilled. So then I was really like searching for answers there. And I had a friend at the time who was like, I'm having this psychic party. You're coming, and I'm going to pay for you. And I was like, okay, why not? Like, this is the time to try it. And I'd never had any kind of experience like this. And I went in pretty like hard headed. Like, I'm not telling her anything. And like, like she's going to have to like prove herself to me, and we'll see how this goes. And, it was just funny because she like went around to each person. So like, there's like 6 of us, like each person got like 20 minutes. Right. And she just picked who she went to. And, she's like, you're an athlete. Okay. And then she's like, you were a champion in a prior life. I'm like, awesome. Great. I feel it. And, she starts telling me all these different things about like, even like the team that I'm on now and stuff. And then she says, you have 2 years. And she mentions that I haven't, stepped up to the plate. Like, as far as like you kind of like you act like you're pursuing this, but you're still holding yourself back. And like, if you don't figure out what that is and you don't step up in the next 2 years, you're going to miss your opportunity.
Wow.
And literally like 2 years, almost to the day, because it was in December, I found out about the Ultimate Fighter. And I've been paranoid about this for 2 years. So
sure.
I've been trying to figure it out for 2 years. And so, yeah, the last day that we were able to submit applications, that's the day I found out about it. I watch all the fights and somehow I just like completely missed this. And I also joked about how I would probably never be able to go on the Ultimate Fighter at Flyweight because my weight cuts have always been tough. And I had decided I was going to move up to Bantamweight, but the opportunity just I just thought it was time. I was like, I have to go for this. And so I kind of had to change my plan. Like I said, I'd been trying to get ready to move up to 135 pounds. And it was like, okay, now we need to strip all of this back off. So I turned in my application that last day, and I just like, I emailed the producer, and I tried to get my manager to bug them, and I tried to get my friends who were on the show to bug them. And like, so we really pushed for it because I really felt like this was it. So I went all in with that move.
You do realize there's irony in that story as well. I mean, if any of you have watched Claire's episode of Ultimate Fighter, there's irony in the whole weight cut thing.
Oh yeah. It's funny. That's like the only thing that I've gotten some hate on, right? And it's just funny to me too, because like I made weight. That's all that matters.
You got creative with it.
Yeah. And cutting weight in the house is a lot harder than I thought. I thought we were going to have all of these resources. I thought we were going to be using the PI. I was like, this is probably going to be the best weight cut. And then it was the worst weight cut. And I did it by myself. We ran out of hot water. And I did it by myself because I didn't know how to ask for help. I'm used to like my coach who's been through a bunch of weight cuts with me and like people who know me. So it felt weird, especially when other people in the house are cutting weight.
Right.
I just didn't know how to be like selfish or with that. So I tried to do it myself. And getting yourself in and out of a hot bath and into a sauna suit and stuff when you're lightheaded is a terrible experience.
I was just about to ask you that because there's that scene where you're in the personal sauna, like the portable sauna.
Oh, yeah.
And I was looking at that and I'm watching it and I'm like, I bet she has a fucking migraine like none other now. Because I know, I've let myself sit in a sauna for too long before and then I walk out.
Yeah.
And I can barely walk afterwards.
Yeah. And those weren't even the good portable saunas. Those were the steam ones.
Right.
So they don't heat up. They just blow hot steam at you. And so a bunch of us in the house had like burns on our legs and feet and stuff because if the steam hit you a certain way, because also they like were broken half the time. When the steam hit you, like terrible burn instantly.
Oh.
Yeah, it was crazy. And they did show one scene where 2 of my coaches came to the house. And so they did help me for like the last bath, but it was like, they got there and it was like 20 minutes before we had to leave. So they did their best, but we were already,
right.
I mean, it was already go time. Oh, they actually skipped a big part of it too. And I thought they were going to show this. Right. Like when we were getting ready to get on the bus to head to the venue, I was in the bathroom with Caitlin and Brogan and I was just out of it. And I was like, we have to cut my hair. We have to cut my hair right now. Get the scissors. And Caitlin's like, we don't need to cut your hair right now. I'm like, get the scissors. I was like, just trim it. And she's like, okay. And so she's like taking her time trying to line it up because she doesn't want to mess up my hair. And I was standing there and I just fainted. I just like blacked out. They like Brogan and Caitlin like helped me to the floor nicely. and the cameras, it's like, then you're laying on the floor and then you got a camera and a giant microphone in your face.
Right.
And it was just like, I was losing my mind. And I was like, get them out of here. And I was like freaking out. Caitlin's like closing the door on the big microphone stick. It was just so funny. I was honestly pretty shocked that they just skipped that part. Maybe it's because it just looks bad. Maybe because it looks like you shouldn't fight after you black out or something like that.
Maybe it's kind of the optics of it. I was going to ask you that. We actually talked before we pressed record, and I said, I'm not going to press you on anything because I know there's NDAs involved, and I'm not that kind of guy. But how do you feel about how the editing has gone with the show? You feel it portrays everybody pretty fairly?
There's some people who put on a face for the camera.
Yeah.
And I would just say the people who seem the nicest are probably the worst in the house. And that's one of the things I thought was really funny is like Juliana got a lot of hate when her episode came out. And I was like, man, I fought her and I like her. Like,
yeah.
Like she's wild, but like what you see is what you get. And I really liked that about her. And I think we're the two youngest girls on the show. And so I just think we had a lot of similarities there where we were just trying hard to figure it out. And we're trying to be ourselves, but also we know it's going to be on the camera. And it's a really tough thing to try to balance. But yeah, there's people like Chandler. Chandler is super authentic. What you see on there is him all the time. But there's things they left out. They made some people look worse than they were, and they made some people look like angels. And I don't know why they did that.
Right.
But we'll see. Maybe more is going to come out still.
But one thing I did kind of take issue with your episode was the way that they kind of painted your two characters into a corner.
Yeah.
It seemed like if you and Juliana were a comedy duo, she's the slapstick and you're the straight one. Like, because all of your interview clips were very straight. They were very concise to the point. And hers were all very emotional. And I'm not saying that in a negative way or a positive way. It just was like, it was almost, to me, edited in a way that could almost predetermine the outcome. Like, or give somebody that already has some insight going, okay, I know how this is going to play out because they're telling a story here. But that's kind of the haphazard of reality TV in general. Yeah.
And I can tell they didn't try to keep too much a secret. Because even like in the very first episode, like when it ended and they were showing commercials, they showed her and I fighting.
Right.
So like people knew that was going to happen.
Right.
I think they just hope people are going to watch anyway.
Right.
But yeah, I thought the same thing.
So who did you get closest to in the house while you were there?
Oh, Brogan.
Really?
Yeah. Like Juliana and I had some really good conversations, but at the same time, we were still on separate teams.
Right.
So, I think we probably both kind of felt like we were being watched by our teammates a little bit. And, and it is still, the team thing's real. Like everyone gets along so well. And then you get assigned teams and it is a crazy shift.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And it's crazy how real that is. So it's pretty funny. Like the 8 girls, we were so tight day one. It's so funny. And so the shift that took was really crazy. But yeah, Brogan and I roomed together, and I have never, ever gotten so close to someone so quickly.
That's
like
awesome.
It was really awesome. It was really wild. It was so funny because her and I were always trying to have these like secret conversations. So we're like trying to cover our mics and whisper, but then they come in right away and they put the cameras on you, and they're like, don't cover them. And we're like, well, we're done talking. Then we're done talking. We tried to have conversations in the bathroom, close the door.
I was just going to ask if you ducked in the bathroom. That's funny.
Yeah.
So what's it like to be on the opposite team of somebody that's on your team outside of the show?
Like Zach and I have always been really cool. And he's definitely we definitely talked a lot leading up to the show.
Right.
Just talking about how did you prepare? What did people tell you? And so we were like sharing information, whose team you want to be on, that stuff. I for some reason, I just thought we'd be on the same team. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I just thought we would. And, I had a lot of faith in Zach in general going into the show. And so I think I just wanted to be on his team also. But Zach's really cool. Zach's no drama. Even if it looked like he was this last episode, he just has a good time.
Right.
He doesn't dislike anybody, but he also doesn't really care about anybody. Like he's just Zach. So he was easy. We talked a lot still the whole time. We talked a lot about like team stuff and I wonder how the team's doing back home. And our team was in a transition at the time, so we got to talk a lot about that.
Yeah. So have you maintained contact with like Bobby after the show?
Yeah, I kind of fall on and off. Like when I first got out, I didn't really talk to anybody, and then I have days where I'm feeling talkative and I'll catch up with a few people. And then I drop off again. So that's kind of where I'm at still.
Yeah.
I kept up with Bobby, but the other thing for me is like the drama with Juliana and Bobby. I just like have not wanted to be a part of it.
Right.
So it's just kind of crazy for me to watch because like I see where they're both coming from.
Yeah.
But I just don't think I don't think there should be drama surrounding it, if that makes sense.
No.
Like, because now looking at it, I'm like, I see why Juliana was mad. Yeah. And I didn't hear the conversations that she was having with him or just with her team about it. So I was around when we were all around, and so like we're having these conversations, but there's people all around us. So I didn't think it was that big of a deal. And, we never once even talked about mine and Juliana's prior fight. Like we never talked fighting. It was just like, Bobby and I talked a lot about, I talked to him a lot about how I thought I was half-assing things and like, and just with the sport. And so we actually talked the most after mine and Juliana's fight and just talked about how I wanted to change things when I got home. I was like, if I go home and do the exact same things I was doing, that's how I'm going to waste this experience.
One thing I've been talking to a lot of my friends about in a very similar context. Have you ever read or listened to the book Atomic Habits by James Clear?
Yes, I have read the whole book twice.
Okay, we're on the same page. Yeah, that's been my treadmill listen lately. It's like because I'm trying to break some habits and like break it down. So I totally get that.
I like the scientific approach to it.
Yes, me too. Me too.
Because it's like it's easy to be educated and be like, oh, this is a better choice for me than that. But doing it is just different. Like rewiring your brain is tough.
Yeah, it was a nice break because the last few books before that, of the same ilk, if you will, was, David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me and Jocko's book as well. And I was just like, not everybody can be David Goggins and not everybody can be Jocko. And if you get too enthralled in their books, you kind of lose the humanity that there's actually psychology involved with some of this stuff. It's not a you're weak, you're strong kind of thing.
Right.
It's like, there's
and David Goggins is interesting because, when you're reading it, you're like, oh, and this time he did it. And it's like, oh, no, he failed.
Right.
Okay, and this time he did it, and he fails again. Yeah. Oh, all right.
I think it was Arut. I was talking to him a couple of weeks ago, and he was like, David Goggins wasn't born with a heart condition. He gave himself a heart condition. And I'm like, fair enough.
Probably true.
Fair enough.
Facts. Yeah.
Fair enough. What was the best advice you were given before going on the show? And by who?
I'd say probably Raquel Pennington and JJ Aldrich. So they gave me like the best advice. And, a lot of people said the whole, like, you're not there for friends, right? And it's like, you're there for business. And so it's one of those things where I can hear something a million times, but I have to learn things the hard way. And I still learned the hard way. So like every single lesson in my life, I've had to go and fuck up and then try to do better the next time.
Yep.
And so I feel like, it really almost like didn't even matter what people told me because I still went there wanting, like, I like connections with people, but, I saw what Juliana was doing and like, maybe I should have done a little more of what she was doing and being a little less friendly and trying to like make lifetime connections and like lifelong connections and stuff.
Yeah, but there's a merit to that too.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because you have a pretty cool tribe there in Colorado. And
I do. It's so good. I'm so used to it.
Right. And that's one of the fun things about following you on social media, actually following you and following Miranda and a few other people. It's because to see all of you guys interact with each other, it's like, I say this to everybody from Elevation that's been on my show. There's something different about all of you guys that I don't see with other fighters. There's a certain level of heart and connection. So,
right. I think it comes from our coaches for sure. Because most of our coaches came up on a fight team together.
Right.
So, and it wasn't always like that for them. I think they just, they've gotten way better relationships throughout the years. And, I think that just sprinkles down on the team. And it's so nice too, because like everything we have here is real. It's so real. Like Miranda is one of my really good friends. Like, do I still get really mad at her? Like, yes, it totally happens. But we talk about it and it's nice. And then we let it go, And it's like that happens with everybody. Like everyone has had a problem with someone at some point and we all talk about it.
Right.
And then we move on. And it's so nice. Like there's no cattiness, nothing. So, but it's also kind of a thing now where I go other places thinking that everyone else is going to be like that. And that's just not the case.
Right.
And that's like I said, that's the other thing with Juliana. Like I had people tell me, oh, she says crazy stuff behind your back. I'm like, I expect a lot of it. I do. We fought each other. We've out-fought each other twice, like I expect her to say she's going to beat me and that maybe I'm bad at this. I totally expect it. But she says these things to my face.
Right.
So like we have a good relationship now because of that.
Yeah, it's part of the fight game too. I mean, you have to play the psychology of it just like anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
So who all is in your tribe if you were to describe your tribe? Just because I like the sound of names dropping.
Yeah. Okay, so like my tribe here in Colorado?
Yeah.
Okay. It is JJ Aldrich, Miranda Maverick, Mallory Martin, Carson Nash. Carson is still an amateur fighter, but she's signed with Invicta. Raquel Pennington. That's like the big part of our group. Kat Leonard, she's new, but she's fit into the group pretty quickly here, and she's got her and Mallory are both have some big Invicta fights coming up, so that's going to be cool. I think that's it. I don't want to forget anybody. I think that's the gist of it. We have like a couple other people. We have like a couple other girls who are ride or dies for the team, who do jiu-jitsu or are amateur fighters. But really, like, yeah, JJ,
awesome.
Miranda, Raquel, yeah, those are like my girls that I spar with.
Your
constantly.
bowling league.
And I'll tell you, and Lauren Murphy too. Lauren's only been out here with us for this camp, but man, she fit in right away and she loved it. So she came out to visit and she went home, came right back. And I hope she stays. I hope she stays out here because she's been awesome to have.
That's a big fight for her coming up.
Yeah, I'm so excited for her. Like one of the things about Lauren is like, I think that like one of the reasons that she's gotten where she is and has separated herself from a lot of people is like her grit and her mindset when she fights. I just think she always performs. Like I think she's one of those people where like her mindset can almost like take her above her skills in some fights. So I think that's really cool. And like I'm realizing how important that is in fighting. So I love this fight with her this fight for her with Miesha. I think it's gonna be a great fight for Lauren.
Yeah, for sure.
How cool to fight someone like Miesha Tate. That's just
right,
cool.
Right. Former champion and Big Brother champion.
Yeah. Right. I still need to watch her season.
So what do you do to de-stress?
See, I got to work on that. I think I almost don't know what de-stress means. I think I'm trying to figure that out because in the past it's always been I go to work and I do accounting work, and I don't think that that's really de-stressing. So I'm really excited to see what my mind feels like when I get a break from this. But I have been trying to do more yoga, stretch more. Like just recovery is a big part of my year right now. That was like something I really wanted to focus on this year. And so I just really try to relax while I'm doing that, try to enjoy it. I try to meditate. I am not great at it, but I'm working on it. And I honestly feel like watching fights. I feel like watching fights is like a de-stressor for me. I love watching fights and just like analyzing them.
Yeah.
And I say it's a de-stressor, but also I've checked my heart rate when I watch fights and it's like I'm working out. Like it's wild. Like I burn calories watching fights. It's pretty crazy.
So have you ever considered, like, with an analytical mindset like that, doing any commentary in the future, or have you done commentary?
So I hadn't thought about it before, but I've had so many people now with Invicta and with TUF and like just coaches. Like I've had a lot of people give me some really positive feedback and tell me that like I could really have a future with that. And now I'm thinking about it. Like now I'm loving it. So I'm kind of following Megan Anderson and watching what she does.
Yes.
She's been commentating with Invicta. And I just like Megan. So
yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah,
that was really sad that when she just stopped.
I know. We'll see what happens. She keeps saying that she didn't retire. So But I have
good.
thought about reaching out to both her and Laura Sanko and just kind of asking like what that looked like for them when they got started. It's definitely something I'm interested in, but I know I've got to start making steps if I want to do it for sure.
You've got a great speaking voice.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
If you got that analytical mindset, then why not merge the two together and do it?
Right. And I love it. I love it. And I didn't realize too, when I watch fights with other people, the things that I pick up that I just thought, well, one, I thought everyone watched every MMA fight. Like I watched every Invicta LFA, like every UFC fight, everything. I thought that was normal. Apparently a lot of people don't do that. But I don't miss anything. And it's just fun for me. It's fun. Like even if on days I don't spar, I go and watch sparring and I really like try to pick people apart and see what they're doing, what's working, what's not working.
Yeah. I got a few friends that are casuals, and if I'm having like a UFC party at my house and I'll barbecue up some food and I'll be sitting there doing just that. I'll be like analyzing it. I'm like, okay, he's going for a calf kick next. And they're like, how do you even fucking know that?
Right. Isn't that funny? You're like, oh, head kick's coming. And then there it is. Like,
yeah, exactly.
So funny.
Yeah. So that's funny. So what is your advice right now for making the world a better place?
Oh, for making the world a better place. I think this is probably pretty common sense, but man, I think it's just really supporting one another. And realizing, I always loved this quote, like realizing that there's enough sun for everyone, because there really is.
Yeah.
Like if you can figure out how to like be yourself and be authentic, like that's what the world needs. I think we've got too many copycats and that's not real. And things look like, I think people are getting tired of the things that look like just like cookie cutouts. Right.
Yeah.
And again, that's why we have such a good thing going on here in Colorado, because we all genuinely support each other and we try to kick each other's ass, but we still support each other.
Right.
And that's been interesting since TUF too. It's like I do feel like there's been a lot more love out there, which I appreciate. It's kind of given me more hope in people, and I realize that there are a lot of good people out there. But then there's those other people who I don't know what it is yet. I don't know how people can get so angry at people they don't know.
Right.
So, I mean, they need help, and I don't know what that help is, but I'd love to help those people too.
6 months from now, what does your life look like?
Oh man, I think for sure. I mean, I'm feeling really good about it. I think 6 months from now, I have a UFC contract. I think I will have already fought for the UFC at one time. Hopefully getting ready for another fight. And if it doesn't happen, I mean, like I'll find out soon, and I'm ready to take a fight as soon as I'm able to. So I'm just going to keep fighting, keep doing this thing. Even before I went on TUF, I was really confident in the path I'm on, and I'm still really confident in it. Like no matter what happens, I know where I'm going. I know that I want to fight for a really long time. And I know I'm going to get where I want to go. That's
amazing. That's great. Claire, thanks for doing the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. This has been fun.
Yes. So you're going to come back and do it again.
Yes, definitely. In 6 months, maybe, when we got some of these things going.
Yes. That sounds awesome. Thanks again. The world's a better place with you in it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
That episode was awesome. And make sure you pay attention to Claire, because I will concur some big things are going to happen for her in the next 6 months. I can just feel it. Make sure you give her a follow on Instagram. Look for Claire Fights. Follow Elevation Fight Team. And The Ultimate Fighter Season 30 is currently on ESPN Plus right now. Getting yourself a subscription to ESPN Plus is super simple. Make sure you follow me, Caught on the Mic, on all forms of social media. Give me that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And pay attention, almost every Monday, I am releasing new episodes at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. Go back, get caught up on some episodes you might have missed. In the meantime, I sincerely appreciate your support. This has been Caught on the Mic with Michael Clark. I'm Michael Clark. Until next time, thank you.